This is it. The film that made Star Trek cool. No, not the first J.J. Abrams film. I'm talking about Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. A mysterious probe reaches the Earth, disabling all starships along the way, and slowly begins to destroy our beautiful planet. Starfleet, unable to communicate with the probe, is rendered helpless. Meanwhile, on their way back to Earth, the former crew of the late Starship Enterprise learn of the probe and delay their return to Earth to face punishment for their actions in the previous film, Star Trek III. After a short investigation, the crew learned that the only way to communicate with the probe is through whale song, specifically the song of the humpback whale. Since the humpback whale is extinct in the 23rd century, the crew must time travel back to San Francisco circa 1986 to retrieve some whales. Why 1986? I have no idea. That's what the Star Trek wiki says, and that's what I consulted for this review. Anyway, long story short, the crew goes about their various tasks to retrieve the whales and return home. Hilarity ensues, of course. If you've seen the movie, you know that. With the whales in tow, the crew head back to the 23rd century to prevent the probe from destroying the planet Earth. As a reward for their heroics, they are given a brand new ship, the USS Enterprise A, on which they will have many adventures for many, many years to come. And by which I mean 2 more films, one of which is really, really, really terrible, but that's another story. The film has a very broad appeal, and I think that's the highest point of this film. When I first saw it, I was not interested in Star Trek at all. Not one bit. I had seen Star Trek II before, and I thought it was really boring. So when I saw this, I thought, oh great, there's another Star Trek movie. But I really enjoyed it on my first viewing. This was the first Star Trek film that could be enjoyed by anyone and everyone, even if you hadn't seen a Star Trek film or an episode of the TV show, or even if you weren't even really a fan of science fiction. Probably the most likely reason is it's pretty much a comedy. It was really refreshing to be able to laugh at one of these things, which is something they should probably try again. I think it would really benefit them. I mean, not every movie has to be really dark and violent. We like to laugh too. The music is a bit of a letdown. I mean, it does okay, but compared to the job done by James Horner and Jerry Goldsmith in the previous 3 films, it doesn't really stack up. It feels more at home at I don't know, a Christmas type film, or something around the holidays. I also hate to say it, but the movie does feel a bit dated. I know that's a weird thing to say about a movie that takes place in the future mostly, but the bit that takes place in modern day, feel very 80s. So it feels like an 80s movie. But, that's not really a bad thing. I mean, I like 80s movies, but it feels like an 80s movie. This was the film that proved Star Trek could appeal to the masses. It's because the film appeals to so many people, it has become so beloved. This is something that will not be seen again for another 20 years until the first J.J. Abrams film. I would definitely say this is my 3rd favorite of the films based on the original series. Of course, one of the films that I would place higher than it. We haven't gotten to the other one yet. But I would definitely give the film 4 out of 5 stars. Well, that's it for Star Trek IV, and of course this was the last film in the Star Trek trilogy as well. So, join me next week as we look at Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Bye.
Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
Merrily, merrily, merrily,
Gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.